What's going on? KASPA fam. Welcome back to another Friday evening live stream. Friday evening here. Clearly it's probably not Friday evening for a lot of you guys, but let me know if the audio is okay. I'm going to check it on my end real quick. Yeah, it sounds like it's all good. Let's turn this off. All right, what's going on, guys? Hit that like button for the green candles that we're actually seeing right now in KASPA. Obviously, we're seeing them in the whole market, but last time I checked, KASPA was towards the top of the gainers over the last 24 hours. So that's good news. You want to see that when markets, flip. The biggest gainers are, have a tendency, history will tell you, to be, some of the better projects moving forward into the next leg of the cycle. So, sorry, I got probably my cat's hair in my mouth. No whiskey for me tonight. Just sparkling water. I apologize to anybody who's expecting me to have a glass of whiskey again tonight. Let me know what you guys are drinking, though, before we really get started here. I got a lot of things that I want to go over today, and the mood in general is just better right now. You know what I mean? I know 7 cents for KASPA isn't earth-shattering by any means, but let's be honest, after sitting at 5 cents for a while, a 2 cent pump is actually pretty welcomed, just to kind of get our spirits back up a little bit. Timbo says, all aboard. Yes, get on the train, get on the train, get on the train before it leaves the station. Otherwise, you will be crying in a number of months here, wishing that you had bought more. Have we seen the bottom? Bags packed. It's hard to say, man, because we'll kind of go over that in a few minutes here. What my expectations are for what is probably going to happen. If I were just to guess, there's a chance that we could, without jumping ahead and giving up too much information right now about what part of what we're going to talk about, I do think that there's a chance in 90 days, we had the 90-day tariff pause, that it gets a little shaky again, right? Moving up towards the time where they're gonna do that whole tariff thing again. I think for the next 90 days we should be pretty free flowing, but we'll see what kind of happens. We'll play it by ear. Maybe some of the language and the talk seems to soften towards that time, and maybe we don't see another capitulation in the market. But I would say, even if we do, maybe even just a double bottom, from where we currently went down, just was it about 5 cents roughly. So I don't know, maybe we see things go a little bit lower at that point in time, or maybe we just go up from here, slowly go up. We'll see. Saturday morning in Australia, audio's good. Right on, Timbo. You having some coffee? since it's morning over there. Sugar Lump. Hey, Cat Daddy, let's go Kaspa. Absolutely, absolutely. Welcome to the stream, Sugar Lump. Miro, beer. What kind of beer are you drinking? Cheers from Arizona. Green tea here because I'm at work. Yeah. Definitely don't drink any of that alcohol at work. Probably won't go over well with the boss, I would imagine. Green tea's good, though. Gives you some energy. Yeah. Yeah. I don't drink very often, which is why probably won't be having that glass of whiskey every single Friday, but, you know, we'll see. Miro, are you in XCN? I have no idea what XCN is. Let me know what that actually means. Maybe I'm an idiot and it's right in front of me and I just can't figure it out. All right, before we get to any more questions, let's jump in to kind of what I want to talk about today. And it's all good news for the most part. I'm going to pull up my internet here. Hold on one second. If I can find the button. Okay. There we go. Let me turn this comment off real quick. Let's take a look. So Watcher Guru, this just in, top Fed official says the Federal Reserve is ready to help stabilize the market if needed. And basically, that is kind of what we need to happen at this point. We need the Fed to step in. We need the Fed to start cutting rates and ending quantitative tightening. And it sounds like they are right on the cliff, ready to go about that. And I don't know if the market needs a little bit more red in order for that to happen. It seems to be pretty stubborn, which, you know, may be a good or bad thing. I don't know. Because you want to get inflation down enough before you start doing that so that it doesn't go all the way back up again. But the other good news on top of that was inflation's actually down today. I believe the numbers came in today and they're down to 2.8. Inflation's down to 2.8%, which is down from 3 point something, if I remember right from the last numbers. So on that note, it seems like everything's moving in the right direction. And another report here from Bitcoin LFG, and it's basically reiterating the fact that the Federal Reserve is absolutely ready to help stabilize the market if needed. And so it sounds like, again, they're right on the verge. And hopefully the stubbornness fades away and they'll just, let's be honest, they're going to at some point here, right, in this half of the year. It's just a matter of it's going to happen very soon in April, right? We're in April, I believe. Yeah. Or if it's going to take us until June when they were planning on potentially doing that before we had this market crash. So it's going to be sometime in between now and June, I believe. And then we're pretty much smooth sailing from that point on, which also kind of lines up with the tariff talks, right? Um, it's going to line up fairly close if they waited until the June date. Um, and so it might be just that catalyst of everything going smoothly and markets go up. I don't know. Lark Davis had a good tweet here, though, because it kind of sums up everything in a nutshell. And it says, well, shit. The Fed signals it is ready to intervene. Inflation's falling off a cliff. The global M2 hit a new high, and trade deals are coming soon. Lots of good tailwinds. Yeah. So like I said, it seems like everything's going to fall into place, and you guys got to realize that Donald Trump, like I've said before, is fairly egotistical. He's not going to want his legacy to be bloodshed in the markets and a bad economy. So at some point, the markets will turn because him and his friends, all of the millionaires, all of the billionaires, they want to make money as well. And so it doesn't make any sense for them not to run the markets up at the end of the year before we potentially go back into a bear market where all of them can make their money and reset in the bear market to buy again and make more money next cycle. It's just how it goes. Roughly every 4 years. Same thing happens over and over again. There's just a lot of fear and uncertainty in between those times. And so it's very difficult for a lot of people to stay calm and just chill out, basically, through all the fear and uncertainty. You just got to wait it out. That's all you got to do. Things will get better. And then one more thing I want to pop up on the screen here, because it pertains to all of this, is this image here. And this was a day or two ago where Donald Trump had tweeted, "This is a great time to buy." Literally 3 hours later, he announces 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs with exception of China. And then literally right after this announcement, 3 hours after this tweet, this is what the markets look like. Stock market, S&P 500, and Bitcoin over here. They absolutely skyrocketed up. I believe Bitcoin was up 20%. And the stock market, I don't know. But it's incredible that this all coincided, because my thought process on markets in general and what I have been trying to tell people is it's all planned. Everything's planned out ahead of time. It's all manipulated. There's a certain amount of people that manipulate the markets, and things are going to happen the way they want it to happen, right? They can manipulate any numbers that they want to make things look good so that they can pump or dump the markets. It's that simple. And all we have to do is sit back, understand that, and swim with the whales. And we make money as well. That's all you have to do. Most people don't have the common sense to be able to do that, which is why most people don't make money in, well, whether the stock market or the crypto market. It's literally that simple. And it doesn't seem simple as you're going through it because of the ups and downs and the fear, the uncertainty, the many red days that you have to endure during the process, which is why most people sell, get out of the market, they get scared, and they sell into the hands of us who are going to be here and ride this thing out until the end. So, I wouldn't be surprised too, guys, if this is just my opinion. I don't know this for a fact, obviously, because I'm not on a personal basis with Donald Trump or Xi Jinping or whatever his name is from China. But I wouldn't be surprised if all of this fear-mongering from China and the US is already worked out, already planned, and they're doing it on purpose for their own benefit, basically, right? Because what that just did is tank the stock market 20%. Anybody on the inside obviously knew they're buying, right? And then the market goes up again. And I would not be surprised if there is already a resolution behind the scenes for China and the US, tariffs, all of that BS, and a lot of the other countries coming together without us normal people knowing. And they already have deals worked out. So all of the stuff you hear in the media is just fear-mongering. Or the opposite of fear-mongering, where you're going to pump the markets when you get good news, right? And they can kind of play it however they want to play it, whenever they want to play it. And all we have to do, like I said, like Timbo says here, swim with the dolphins, yes. Yeah, the dolphins, the sharks, the whales, whatever you want to call them. I know you're referring to probably dolphin status as a KASPA holder, but swim with them, sell with them. Buy with them, sell with them. Very simple. In theory, very simple, right? Let's take a look here, though. The last thing I want to talk about, and then we'll answer some questions, so get your questions in before I get to them, and that way I can try and get to every single person before we end the stream. Let's see, where is my web browser? Oh, man. Blinding, sorry. Let's turn that into dark mode. We'll look at those wallets in a second, but the other set of good news here is that wallet number 2, which remember used to be wallet number 5 and then used to be wallet number 4, who has now jumped up to wallet number 2, over the last 24 hours has bought another $2 million worth of KASPA. And I would imagine that they're not buying $2 million worth of KASPA almost on a weekly basis or, bi-weekly basis if they don't know that the markets are going to go up, right? We all think this is Binance right here, and I don't see a reason why Binance would be purchasing that much KASPA if they thought we were headed into a bear market tomorrow. Just common sense, right? I don't think Binance wants to hold, 693 million KASPA into a bear market after just purchasing it for, 5 to 7 to 10 cents during all of their buys. If we go into a bear market right now, KASPA is going to drop 90%, right? Roughly. And I doubt that they want to immediately lose on their investment. So you got to look at stuff like that and kind of think logically and just kind of know where we're at in the grand scheme of this cycle as well. I know it's taking a little bit longer, but we've got to remember that in the 2016 cycle, altcoins bled to Bitcoin up until November of 2016. Or was it 2017? It might have been 2017 into 2018. Nonetheless, they bled up until November of the post-halving year. Okay? And then they ran November, December, and some into early January for the altcoin cycle. So if we're into November and altcoins still haven't ran yet, that is literally just following suit with the 2016-2017 cycle. It's happened before, so there's no reason why that couldn't happen again. Altcoin seasons are usually very quick, fast, aggressive, and a lot of money being made during a very short period of time. It always seems like they're never going to come because Bitcoin dominance always runs at this point in the cycle, and it seems like it runs forever and it's never going to stop. It will probably stop again. I'm betting on another 4-year cycle to play out just like it has in the past until it doesn't. And I don't think this is that cycle. My opinion. Right? Not financial advice, obviously. Coming up here, looking at these addresses, over the last 24 hours, we've added a bunch of crabs, and we've got, I would imagine some of these outflows are actually just octopuses, octopi, I don't know how to say that, turning into fish, right? Because it lines up, there's only a 10 person or 10 wallet difference. And then we've got 17 new dolphins. You could have had octopus turn into dolphins as well, because we've had some really good buying opportunities lately. We've gotten 2 whales outflows, but we've added 3 sharks. So you could, obviously people could be selling for, I don't know how you're selling for profit. Maybe over the last 24 hours, if you bought at 5 cents and you bought enough, 7.5 cents might be a pretty good gain for you, and you're selling some. But you could have, 2 of these whales or splitting wallets into more shark wallets. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily people taking profits. It could just be diversifying and reallocating into multiple other wallets as well. But there's a lot of green in here, so there's still some inflows. Over the last 90 days, you've got 10,000, 9,000. But I imagine some of these, obviously some of them probably sold out in the fear because these are small holders to begin with. And a lot of them probably got scared out of the market. But, you added 781 dolphins, so some of that went into dolphin status, I would imagine. And you've actually accumulated over the last 90 days 4 new humpbacks. So people are still adding KASPA for the most part. And most of the selling's going on in the small wallets, which are probably people that aren't very convicted and got scared out of the market. They're new to KASPA, I would imagine, or new to crypto in general as a whole. Crypto Bank, I'm slamming coffee right now, right on. You know what's funny is I actually don't like coffee. It's one of those things that, everybody thinks I'm weird, obviously, for. But when I was younger, my dad used to wake up early in the morning, read the Bible, read the newspaper, and drink a big glass of black coffee in a big mug. And I woke up early one day, and when I was younger, obviously, I went and sat on his lap, and he asked me if I wanted some coffee, and of course I said yes, because I wanted to see what he was drinking. And I spit it out all over the carpet, and that was the end of it. Never liked it since. But I know I'm in the minority there. Most people drink coffee and love coffee. Cat Daddy retired, but not. Are you saying you're retired? Retired, but not. But sure don't want to go back to work. Looking for Cass to seal the deal. Sounds like you're retired. Well, congratulations. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're of retirement age for all I know. But if you retired early, props to you. And yeah, Caspa, could definitely help seal that deal for sure, depending on how much you currently own. I hope you were buying some more during that 5 cents range if you had any money. Because what's crazy is I talked about this last stream. The my biggest buys were the 3, 4, 5 cent range back in the middle to November of 2023, and then we 3x'd from there, and then we fell back down into those numbers, and a lot of people were like wishing that they could buy at the same price that I and a lot of other people were buying at, and we fell back into that range. So I'm hoping people that were wishing for that actually took advantage of it. Franny, happy Friday. Having a Tito's martini. Tito's, oof. I got a lot of headaches from that when I was younger. The Tito's vodka. Dakota, do you think that KASPA will rally after May 5th, even with the overall uncertainty of the market? I've been packing my bag since November 24, but can't really load the boat until mid-May. You know what might actually happen? This happens a lot. I can't guarantee this is going to happen. But May 5th is obviously the Crescendo hard fork update. And a lot of times projects will rally into big events like that, and then people will take profits and it will actually dump after the fact. And so I would hold off. If it starts rallying up into May 5th, I would probably hold off and see if we get a correction after the fact. Because there's actually a pretty good chance, if history is any indication, that will probably happen. Unless, the only way that's not going to happen is if the market is going absolutely crazy, like the whole market at that point in time. And then we might see it continue to go. So it kind of depends on where we're at, whole market wise. But if we're kind of sitting in choppiness like we are right now still, then I would expect it actually to correct after May 5th, but rally into the Crescendo update or upgrade. That would be my best guess of what's going to happen. Miro. Okay, so XCN is Onyx coin. Onyx. Okay, I'm going to look it up on stream real quick here. Providing it's on CoinMarketCap. Okay, I'm guessing it's this one here, Onyx Coin, and not regular Onyx, based on your, number 86 on CoinMarketCap. How old is it? It's been around since 22. Chart does not look that great, in my opinion. It looks like it's been... since the end of since November, or since January 2023. No, December of 2022. It's been flatlined, basically. Had a little recovery here. I don't know, man. The chart alone It is on Coinbase. It's got a lot of exchanges. Um, so it does have that going for it, like multiple pages of exchanges. But for me, without doing any more deep dive on it, I don't like the way the chart looks. That's just my opinion. Um, the market cap compared to the fully diluted value is not terrible. Um, it's going to depend on if the team is doxxed and a bunch of other things too. I mean, I'm not saying that this is not going to pump for sure. Um, but where is the about section here? What is it? Honest Protocol, multi-asset blockchain platform that makes digital asset management easier and secure. It functions like a super-powered digital ledger and enables different networks to work together. So it kind of sounds like it's a almost like a layer 0. Organized through a DAO. I don't know. I mean, if it's a layer 1, it might have potential. It's technically, it hasn't been through a bull cycle, but it was launched roughly at the same time KASPA was. It looks like. Actually, a little bit later than KASPA, but its chart doesn't look even close to as good as KASPA. If it's a layer 1, though, the team's doxed, and, you know, although it says it's an Ethereum token, so maybe it's not its own layer 1. Yeah, too many red flags for me right off the bat without going any deeper into it. Can you put another t-shirt on? What kind of t-shirt do you want me to wear? I'm not stripping on camera for you, TP hand. Nice try. What do you mean by that, though? You don't like this t-shirt? I mean, it's KASPA K. How much cooler can you get, my friend? Goku, can't wait for my life to change this year. Yeah, me too. Anybody who's still here and has weathered the amount of storms that we have weathered since 2022 is going to do well. It's just taken a lot longer than last cycle. But, you know, it's taken roughly the same amount of time as the cycle before that. So take that for what it's worth. Every cycle's not going to be identical. There will be differences that make people question what they're actually doing. Dakota, thank you for your dedication you put into staying up to date on KASP, spreading the education. I've been watching you and some others for months now. It's like watching Roaring Kitty before the GME pump. Yeah, I wish. I mean, that guy out of nowhere made a name for himself real quick. But that would be amazing if the whole entire market just did what Roaring Kitty did. Or did what GME did back in the day. That would be absolutely amazing to see that kind of run. But nonetheless, KASPA is one of the most technically sound projects you can be in. So my advice, I appreciate you hanging out and watching. My advice is to just stick around and be a sponge. Don't listen to just one person. You clearly, you're stating that you do listen to multiple people. It's good to get different opinions, and then kind of go with your gut on what direction you want to go, you know. But stick around and be a sponge is all I can say. And things will eventually go very well for you. Abel, good to hear you again. Good to have you back. Appreciate you coming back. And hanging out on this Friday night with myself. PJ, waiting for Michael Saylor to get on the KASPA train. Last year he posted a photo of Bitcoin Apple with the X, or Bitcoin Apple on X with KASPA colors. Have you been curious? Yeah, I remember that photo. In my opinion, it can mean two things. The positive version of it is that it's the Bitcoin logo, right, with KASPA colors, which means he is subliminally telling us that KASPA's on his radar. The other outlook on it that I heard, which I thought was a good take, just so you can kind of view it at both ends, is the forbidden apple that was eaten in the Bible. Maybe it's a negative connotation on KASPA because it's the apple that shouldn't have been eaten, and it's in KASPA colors. You know what I mean? And it may have been a shot at Marathon for getting into mining it. But I don't know. I mean, both of them actually make sense if Michael Saylor is that much of a maxi. Although recently he's come out and been a little bit more relaxed on his verbiage towards other, projects and altcoins other than Bitcoin. So, only time is going to tell. But I guarantee you one thing, that he absolutely knows what KASPA is. It's just a matter of, is his brain too much in a box, right? And he won't be able to get out of it because Bitcoin is the only thing that matters, or the only thing that's going to be successful in the future. Or is he going to be able to come out of that box potentially and maybe venture into something else that has very similar tokenomics, proof of work, but is actually scalable, right? And faster and cheaper than Bitcoin. We'll see. Time will tell. If that ever does happen, though, it will be a very good day for KASPA holders because it's going to set KASPA on fire. Just because of how well respected he is in the financial world. Timbo, I got a little entry on Sui. Heavily centralized VC backed, opposite of KASPA, but good side bet. Seems to be, yeah. Sui it should be my second top holding in my portfolio, but because I bought so much Solana back in the depths of the bear market at about $8 to $20, then Solana obviously has done very well price-wise, and it is holding the second spot. I've even sold some of it, and I can't get it out of my second spot. I sold some of it into KASPA a little while back. But Sui is a close third in my portfolio, and I bought a lot of Sui between 40 cents and $1 also in the bear market. So actually it actually launched at around $1, and then it sunk to 40 cents, and I bought more at 40 cents. And then I bought more up until $1 again, and then I let it ride. I should have bought more. But you can say that with any coin after it's pumped. I should have bought more. I should buy more KASPA, right? I'm always going to have that. I should have bought more of that. I should have bought more of that. But I agree with you on the fact that it's opposite. There's no reason, in my opinion, not to invest in a heavily centralized VC-backed project as well, because we've seen what they can do. They move very fast. The VC backers want their money, and they were going to get their money, right? It's just common sense that those projects are going to pump. It's got a lot of the same backers as Solana did last cycle, which intrigued me. And I have told you guys before that I was in Sui even before it launched. I was doing back in 2022, 2022. I was doing airdrop farming for it because it was on my radar that far back before it even launched. And then they decided not to do an airdrop, and it pissed me off for a second, and I said I wasn't going to invest in it. And then I was like, no, it's too good of an investment in my opinion. It just never went away in my brain, so I obviously bought some after the fact anyways. But it's good to have that diversification of opposites, right? So that you are covered both ways. And this last dip in Sui where it got under $2, in my opinion, is going to be looked back on as a very good buy. I would I would recommend that if you're not holding just Kaspa and you're into diversifying a little bit, Sui is probably the second project that I would buy, hands down. No question asked. If you're only going to have two, those are going to be the two for this cycle. Hello, I came here for the financial advice. Yeah. Yep. Good idea. Hey, when it's all said and done, this advice might actually be looked back on like very good advice, right? You're holding Sui and you're holding Kaspa as your top two holdings. Guarantee you guys are going to do very well. That being said, this is not financial advice. Be more. I bought at 5 cents and sold at 6 cents. I mean, not a huge gain, but you'd made profit, so can't say anything bad about that. Anytime you make profit, that's a good thing. Should have held. Yeah, well, yeah, but you never know. The thing is, if you buy at 5 cents right now and sold at 6 cents right now, I can guarantee you it's going to go above 6 cents. But, like I said, taking any sort of profit is never a bad thing. 100K KAS is a good bag for me. Yeah, 100K is a solid bag. I remember back in 2022 when Kaspa was under 1 cent or right around 1 cent. The word on the street was get yourself 100,000 Kaspa. You'll be set for life. And obviously the barometer always changes, as we move forward. You hit 100,000, it's like get yourself 200,000. But 100,000 is a great baseline for sure. We going back to 6 cents? I know more Kaspa. I'm assuming you meant want. We could easily go back to 6 cents. The markets, it depends on what the whole market does. And I would imagine, if we get another tariff scare after 90 days here, where these market makers want to get one more good buying opportunity, V-shaped recovery before the second half of the year, then we could easily see 6 cents again. Oh, need more Kaspa. Yeah. Everybody needs more. Looks like we could drop back to 5.5 cents this weekend. It's possible. It is definitely possible. I've been in crypto long enough to know that nothing is a guarantee, and anything that you think probably can't happen can, and anything you think that will happen might not happen. It hardens you real quick. JO 1940. You think tier 1 listings coming this year? I think so. I think Binance will launch first, or and then I do believe because Coinbase went Coinbase listed futures trading for KASPA, and usually that is a pretty good sign of a spot listing coming in the future. I think that they're both going to list. I think OKX will list, and what was the other one? Maybe just those three. I don't think that we're going to get a Robinhood listing, at least this cycle. They do have a lot of the dinosaur proof of work coins listed there, but it seems like they like the trendy new meme coins more than that. So it might take a cycle or two for Robinhood to potentially list. But I do think that Binance and OKX, and then Crypto.com, you don't hear anything about them, but they're the wild card. I think if Binance lists and OKX lists, Crypto.com will list, and then Coinbase will be last. Kind of right towards the end of the cycle, if I were to take a guess. And I don't think we need all of them in order to get a good KASPA altcoin cycle. But I think they all will list. Even if we just got a couple of them, I think we would still see some pretty good price movement. But time will tell. We'll see. Timbo, do you have any memes in your portfolio? Pepe, the blue chip meme of this cycle. I do believe Pepe is the blue chip meme for sure, and it is my biggest meme coin holding. The only other memes that I have besides that are Nacho and Goad from the KRC20. I had some more, but I sold them. Let me make sure real quick. Let me check. I think those are my only three. No, I do have some Brett. Brett is the other meme coin that I have. I don't have a whole lot of it, but I do have a pretty significant Pepe holding because I bought it early, and I could sense that was going to be potentially the Shiba Inu of this cycle, and I still think that that's probably true. We just haven't really seen it run yet. But as far as percentages go, Pepe is about 5% or 4.5% of my portfolio. And it's like my fifth biggest holding. Or fifth or sixth. Abraham Dolphin here, not selling a single coin until at least 90 cents. Yeah, more importantly though, if you're planning on selling this cycle, we've got more importantly than a price target is where we are in the cycle. So keep that in mind. That is more important than a price target at this point. If we're into December of this year, November, December, and things are getting really heated, and KASPA is still not at 90 cents, and you don't want to hold it through this next bear cycle, it's probably better to offload a little bit so that you at least make some profits just in case we don't see it get to $1 this cycle. I still think it's going to, but like I said before, nothing is guaranteed. We have to just watch and see what happens, and we have to be locked in on where we are in the cycle. If you're willing to hold it through the bear market, then there's no use. If for some reason we don't hit 90 cents this cycle and you're okay with holding it, then more power to you. But I also would encourage everybody to at least take their initials out. Their initial amount they put in out, so that if, for God forbid, something does happen and KASPA blows up and never comes back, then at least you can say you didn't lose money. Right? It's very small percentage chance, in my opinion, but I've seen a lot of shit in this market, and you always got to hedge just in case. Goku, $3 KASPA by year's end. That is possible. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it is possible. It may not happen, but it is possible. Different language there. It's possible, but it could not happen. May not happen. It might go higher than $3. We don't know. Depends on what kind of altcoin season we have. If we have a minor altcoin season, it may not even reach $1. If we have a big altcoin season, it may reach $3, $4, $5. I don't know. I still don't. I think $3 is probably what we, like, the maximum of what we would see, though. I don't know that we go above that in any circumstance. Just logged in. Have you talked about Grayscale removing them? No. I did see a couple of things. I haven't looked into that yet. So they actually removed them from assets under consideration. It's interesting. I saw a couple posts on X earlier that mentioned that might have happened. Let me see here. Yeah, so there is no... I wonder if... That is interesting. I haven't digested it yet, so I don't really have an answer for you. But I wonder, and this is just spitballing off the top of my head, of one scenario. Let me turn off. Right here, KASPA used to sit, and I wonder if maybe they removed it and are actually going to add it over here on the left at some point. But it's no longer in consideration, but it's actually... obviously, it's not currently here yet, but they're in the process of transferring it over to here. That's just one thing that could happen. Or maybe they just aren't interested anymore. I don't know. I don't know that that's that big of a deal per se. And maybe it's, short term and it was a mistake too. Who knows? We have to see what happens here. But let me think about that a little bit longer, and it's obviously one of two things. Either they're removing it from there so that it can line up over here, or they're just not interested anymore for some reason, and I don't know what that reason would be. Maybe the Bitcoin maxis paid off Grayscale. I don't know. I'm sure we'll hear something more in the coming days. rather than just taking literal guesses at why it might have happened. So let's keep an eye on that, and see how it kind of plays out. Because if that just happened today, then it could be a number of different reasons why. $100K KASPA minimum, and you're rich this year. Yeah, I mean, depends on what your uh, definition of rich is, because obviously that could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, depending on where you're from, depending on what country you live in, depending on what your income level is, you know. But again, 100K is definitely a good bag of Caspa. Looking at XCN, yeah, I looked at it. Congratulations for making 4 or 5K with it. I'm assuming it was on that little spike it just had. You can stake it for 30%. Be careful with that. 30% interest on staking um, throws a red flag my direction, especially if there's lockup periods where you can't remove it for a certain amount of time. Be careful. If you weren't around last cycle, that happened all the time, and a lot of people got wrecked with staking stuff like that. But congratulations for the 4 or 5K. I would pull that out of profit and walk away if I was you. Siam Kid sold all his cash. Who is Siam Kid? Is that another YouTuber? I don't watch a whole lot of other YouTubers anymore. So if I'm missing him, uh, I apologize. But so did Crypto John, and so did Archetype. They all sold all of theirs. Which is funny because I think Crypto John just made a video of blaming blaming Donald Trump for his uh, decision making, basically, or for crashing the markets, uh, selling Caspa at a local bottom and buying Turbo at a local top is Donald Trump's fault, apparently. The timing was awful for that trade, and I'm hoping if things don't turn out, I think Turbo is going to end up turning out okay. It was just the timing of that was just dreadful. Telling people to sell Caspa at a local bottom to buy Turbo at a local top, and Turbo's down. I haven't looked at it lately, but it was down like 80-90% at one point. I just, I mean, maybe it rebounds, and they you know, all of the users that followed that trade get some money back, but it's kind of it was just really bad timing. Let's just put it that way. We'll leave it at that, right? Because both of those projects are probably going to do well this cycle, but the timing of it was god awful. Hey, KDK, this market is like watching one of Jerry Banfield's music production vids. Painful. Yeah, yeah, it is painful, and it's the longevity of it has been brutal because it just, I mean, it's so choppy for a very long time with a little bit of downward action, and then we had the capitulation the other day. Hopefully that was the bottom and we don't have to see it again and we can go up from here. But like I said, the tariff 90-day, let's pay attention 90 days from now and see what happens. Again, I think that there's probably already some agreement in place behind the scenes. and this is just probably comedy and, you know, sit back in a chair with popcorn for all the people in charge, watching everybody panic or not panic, right? At the whims of one tweet is pretty comical, and they're probably sitting back laughing. I bet you Donald Trump and is it Xi Jinping? I don't know if what they even call it there. Is it a president or dictator? I don't even know. Um, they're probably actually on good terms behind the scenes, if I were to take a guess. And they're just laughing about uh, the 125% tariffs that they're putting on each other, back and forth and back and forth. Or maybe they really do hate each other. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was something going on in the background. And then, yeah, the other scenario is Jerry Banfield's. You know, it's painful uh, and funny and comedic at the same time. So you've got both of those. Painful because it's going sideways and down for so long, and comical because of these tariff wars and the tweets that happen 3 hours before an announcement that pushes the market up 20%. Abraham, I don't honestly expect Saylor to ever embrace KASPA, even though it's everything he preaches. Yeah, he may not. He might be so closed into a box that he will never venture out of it. It's very possible. But again, on that note, just like anything else, time will tell. You know. TP Hand. Is your screen name Toilet Paper Hand? Do you wipe with your hand? Just curious what that means. Or am I way off and that means something else? I hope that's not your name that I just butchered and made fun of. Is 300,000 KASPA enough? Again, there's no context there. 300,000 is a good bag, but again, it depends on what your. There's a lot of variables that go into it. Depends on what your income status is, where you live. There's a lot of things that go into it. Whether it would be enough for you, 300,000 is probably a pipe dream for some people and not enough for others. So it all depends on your personal situation. My opinion on Quant. I think it's okay. I personally don't like it though. As an investment, it's been around too long, and it's not something that interests me at all. It is an OG, and it may do well this cycle, but you got to think that anything that's been around for multiple cycles now is going to have it's not going to do as well from cycle to cycle, and the gains are going to be less and less. It's always good to find new projects in their first cycle because that's when they do the best. It's something you can hold in your portfolio, but you got to look at potential gains, right? Would you rather be putting your money into something that's probably going to have more gains and is in a better portion of its lifespan, which is newer and in its first cycle, is what I kind of look at. But you could keep some in your portfolio as maybe a safety, anchor. That being said, there's no... If you were going to do that, though, I would probably, safety-wise, stick with something like Solana and Bitcoin, in my opinion. Infamous coin has been delisted. Oh, where is Infamous today? Did he not show up? I haven't seen him. That's a good point. I have not seen Infamous today. Kind of miss him, don't we? Is there actually an Infamous coin? Or is that a joke because he's not here, he's been delisted? Next month is money time. Yeah, I think we're smooth sailing for a few months, and then we might have another hiccup before, if things, trade talks are not smoothed out by then. Crypto Dad. I bought my daughter a Tanja months ago and add to her Caspa holdings for allowances, birthdays, holidays, etc. Trying to create opportunities for her. Not a bad idea. I would also, well, again, I'm not trying to tell you how you should do things, obviously. But I would also continue to add Bitcoin as well, because that is the only project that we probably know 100% sure is going to be around. Um, I think Caspa is going to be around, but it's not. It hasn't proven itself yet, right? Um, to be a multiple cycle asset at this point. Um, so I would hedge some of that Caspa if it was me with some Bitcoin as well. That's just my opinion, not financial advice, obviously, but definitely a good thing that you're doing there for sure. If Caspa does hang around for multiple cycles, which I think it's going to, so I'm not trying to downplay what you're doing there. I think you're doing a very good thing. I just think a hedge might, just in case, might be a good idea to add in there as well. Um, but she's going to be very well off at a certain point if Caspa does anything close to what we think it's going to do in the future. So, good for you, Dad. I'm actually, at some point here, I obviously have a new 5-month-old now. We're going to be doing something like that for her. Um, Probably starting in the bear market once all of my profits have been realized this cycle. We'll start her a nice, good portfolio of some stuff. Do you think 50 cents might be possible by September? Yeah, I think it's definitely possible by September. Because September we're going to be moving into the final stages of this cycle. And like I mentioned, the 2017 cycle, altcoins didn't really start running until November. But I think there's a good chance that by September we could be, around that price. Things don't seem like it now, but it has to move at some point. And let's get back to 20 cents before we start talking about 50 cents. But September, October, November, December, we should see some movement by then, I would think. $1 way before September. I don't know. It depends. It's hard to say. Like I said, it depends on when. If we follow the 2017 cycle, we may not see big prices until November, December. If we start a little bit earlier, we'll see them earlier. So it just kind of depends on how this one plays out. It's not going to be identical to any other cycle, and it obviously hasn't been up to this point. But we're actually following the 2017, 16, 17 cycle more close than last cycle. Is it bad I only share Caspa with people I like? No. I don't really share Caspa with anybody because all the people in my normal life think I'm a lunatic probably for actually putting money into this market in general. Um, but yeah, I don't know why you would share anything with people you don't like to begin with. I only talk to people I like, except for Infamous. Although I don't dislike Infamous at all. I encourage him to come back. I just don't understand why he talks so badly about Caspa. Even though we agree on the Solana and the Sui part of your portfolio, so. We could all hold till next bull run and still be very happy we did. It's I would say there's a good chance that that is a true statement. But again, I'm going to caution everybody that crypto is literally the Wild West and anything can happen, which is why I recommend, at bare minimum, taking your initial investment out. I would even more highly recommend taking some profits this cycle and um, I me personally am going to be selling like 80% of my Caspa because even that last 20% is a good solid base that I feel comfortable holding through the bear market. And if, next cycle we see Caspa even take a next step, I'm going to be monitoring it during the bear market as well, making sure that they continue to build and continue to do what they say they're going to do and advance the tech. I'll be very happy with that 20% going into next cycle. And I'll buy more in the bear market too, because we are going to have a bear market crash, I believe, again. And Caspa is not going to be immune to that. It may outperform again in the bear market, although it doesn't have to just because it did last bear market. Keep that in mind. The Chainlink outperformed just like Caspa did in the 2019 bear market and did not do it again in the 2022 bear market. So Caspa is not set in stone to outperform again in this 2026, potential bear market. It might not, but I wouldn't bank on it. A lot of projects outperform in their first bear market because they're new and exciting, and they just follow regular, they fall in line with the rest of the projects after their first cycle, lockstep. And we'll see, right? None of us know what's going to happen yet. But I would imagine we're going to see, if Caspa goes somewhere between $1 and $3, that we're going to see a 90% pullback on it, and that's another good buying opportunity for the next cycle. Yeah, Grayscale removed from the assets under consideration because they're going to list it soon. Yeah, that was my first thought on that, which we mentioned earlier. But the other scenario is that they removed it because they don't want to list it anymore. It's probably one of those two reasons. We may see it list soon, which could easily be the reason why they removed it off of the under consideration box, because it's no longer under consideration. It's going to actually be listed. So let's see how that plays out in the near future. Let's see if they list it. Maybe they list it with all the exchanges, and we just get like this rocket ship of things all at once happening on, the back end of KASPA and excelling the price up. Goku, I'll take $3. Yeah. I will too. Maybe Grayscale's one of the big wallets. Yeah, that's a possibility as well. Because if we go back and look at, hold on one second here. Yeah, if we go back and look at these wallets, where is that comment that I need to take off the screen? There it is. No, that's not it. We've also got, actually, I take that back. That's Bybit's wallet. I don't know who these are in between here, though. There hasn't been any buys recently, but you've got 5, 6, 7, and 8, all with pretty hefty KASPA bags. But I would imagine, maybe Grayscale just already has some in a hidden wallet here. But you go down here to the 17, 18, 19, and they're buying hundreds of thousands of dollars in KASPA in the last 24 hours. Maybe they're one of these guys down here that is going to eventually move its way up the ranks. I don't know. But that's definitely a possibility there. Press 1 if you think CAS will go to $1 this year. If KASPA is going to go to $1 this cycle or more, then it should happen this year. The only other scenario I can see is if we overflow into potentially January. Maybe February at the latest into next year. So yeah, if CAS is going to go to $3, then it's going to happen $1 should happen this year. If it's going to go to just $1 at the peak of the cycle, it still should happen this year. And if not, early next year. But that's why we have to monitor things. It's very risky to wait and expect and assume things are going to happen, into next year. We've just got to wait and monitor things. That's all we can do. There's a dozen of memes gunning for a few spots. Yeah, I agree. Which is why I'm not buying a whole lot of them. I identified what I think are going to be the top 2 meme coins in the whole market, and that is Pepe and Brett. There's a few more that could do very well as well. But those 2 seem to be what I would envision being the top 2 meme coins this cycle. And then in the KRC20 space, I still like Nacho and Goad. There's some more that'll do well there as too, but those are just the 2 that I don't want to over diversify. But yeah, there's thousands of meme coins now that are oversaturating the market, and we'll see what happens. but it's risky to put a lot of money into a ton of meme coins. Siam Kid is a YouTuber. Okay, he wrote a book with a chapter on KASPA. Interesting. I have to look that guy up then. Siam Kid. You said he sold all of his KASPA? I wonder why. Crypto John is known for is a known pump and dumper. All of his picks are always very low market caps on Coinbase. Why? Because beginner crypto investors only know how to use Coinbase. It's a good point. I've seen some other videos where people have been linking wallet addresses to him and connecting dots of him actually pump and dumping. And that's a good point. I never thought about that because he is the Coinbase guy, right? Knowing that a lot of new guys come into crypto on Coinbase and they can only buy on Coinbase. So that's where he focuses his pump and dumps so that he can, get the new guys real nice and easy. But I'm not going to, convincingly say I know one way or another without actually knowing. I know there's a lot of tea leaves there, or breadcrumbs, as you can say. So it wouldn't surprise me. John says he would get out in the quarter 2 of 2025, and now he says quarter 1 2026. This is a joke. He'll get out when the big boys decide when. Yeah, that's why you can never convincingly say I'm going to get out at this time, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, because the market is fluid and it changes all the time, and you just don't know what's actually going to happen. So you've just got to stay vigilant and kind of move with the market and move your brain. You're going to change your mind a lot, like he's doing, but don't convincingly tell anybody that quarter 2 2025 is going to be the time, because at that point in time you think that, but things might change like they clearly have. Which is why I always tell everybody that we're going to wait and see when the market gets overheated. We're going to look at indicators and the sentiment of the market, and then we're going to get out. That could have been quarter 2, that could have been it probably will be quarter 4 of this year based on past history, but that doesn't mean it has to be. If things haven't ran yet into quarter 4, then maybe it's going to be quarter 1 of 2026. We don't know. So you've got to be vigilant, and you can't really set anything in stone because the stone's always moving. And on that note, guys, we're going to sign off for today. If I didn't get to your comments, I apologize. I've been here for an hour and a half already. Feel free to re-comment down in the comment section down below once the video is ended, and I will reply. I try and reply to every single comment on every video that I do, for the most part, that I can get to. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in today. We'll be back next Friday, and I'll try and get a video or two in during the week as well. In the meantime, continue to pack your damn bags before it's too late. I will see you guys in the next video. Love you all. Peace out.